simple and sweet. so so don't want to load too much up on a Monday morning, hey? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is 17th of July, hopefully I'm correct, and 17th of July 2023, yeah? And we're reading from Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, verse number 11 and 12, and the title of the chapter is Explanations of Devotional Service. Okay. Madguna Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhashaye Manogati Ravichinna Yata Gangamba Sumbudo Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya Nirgunasya Hridahritam Ahaituki Avyavahita Ya Bhaktir Purushottame Madgata Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhashaye Manogati Ravichinna Yata Gangamba Sumbudo Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya Nirgunasya Hridahritam Ahaituki Avyavahita Ya Bhaktir Purushottame. Anybody wants to give it a shot? Madguna Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhashe Yatha Gangam Vasu Buddho Madguna Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhashe Manogati Ravichinna Yatha Gangam Vasumbuddho Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya Nirgunasya Hridahritam Ahaituki Avyavahita Ya Bhaktir Purushottame. Ladies? Madguna Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhase Manogati Ravichinna Yatha Gangamba Sumbudo Lakshanam Bhakti Yogasya Nirgunasya Hridahritam Tukiya Bhuta. Very nice. Okay, so mat of me, guna, qualities, shruti by hearing, matrena, just my towards me, sarva guhashaye, residing in everyone's heart, managati, the heart's course, avichinna, continuous, yatha, as, Ganga, of the Ganges, Ambhasa, of the water, ambudho, towards the ocean, lakshanam, the manifestation, bhakti yogasya, of devotional service, nirgunasya, unadulterated, he indeed udahritam, exhibited, ohaituki, causeless, avyavahita, not separated, ya, which, bhakti, devotional service, purushottame, towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vande Nandavajastrinam Padrenum Abhikshnasha Yasam Harikatodgitam Punati Bhunatrayam Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnanayanjana Shalakaya Chakshurumnitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Okay, so this is quite an interesting word, because we need to remember Kapila Muni is coming from a very yogic background. Yoga, Dhyana, Sankhya. So there is 6 schools of thoughts generally in Vedic civilization. But those 6 schools go in 2 pairs. So one of the pair is Sankhya Yoga. So one other pair is Nyaya and Vaisheshika. And so Vedanta. We have obviously Bhakti, Vedanta. So these are all like 6 darshanas. Out of the 6 darshanas, they usually go in 2 pairs. The 6 darshanas goes in pairs. So they become 3 pairs. So one of the pair of the 6 darshanas is Sankhya Yoga. So Sankhya and Yoga go as a pair. You understand? So you cannot do yoga without Sankhya, or you cannot do Sankhya without yoga. Which is the reason Krishna says Sankhya Yoga Prutak Bala Praudantina Pandita. So learned people will never extract Sankhya and separate, divorce it from yoga, or divorce the yoga from Sankhya. And anybody who does that, Krishna says Bala, just untrained, childish. So it's very important to take this pair, weave it correctly. And the only way you can do this is if one thing I want to just post as a premise is you have to gently persist in reading this Bhagavatam. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter where you are. You can never get so-called busy in your life that you haven't read Bhagavatam in the day. You can never get so busy in your life that you haven't read at least 1 page of Bhagavatam in a day. There is nothing in this world. There is nothing in this world. Now this sounds like an absolute statement, but I don't mind giving it. And Monday I wanted to keep it a little light. There's nothing in this world that can get you so busy, in double quotes, that you haven't had a time to turn 2 pages of Bhagavatam at the least. 20 is good, but at least 2. If someone whichever ashram you are, Grihastha ashram, Brahmachari ashram, Sannyasa ashram, if you get busy or you feel, I'm so busy. One time I knocked the door and this man came out. Said, this literature is very beautiful, but I don't have any time in the day. And I noticed at the background, there's TV running on the background, on and on and on. And as long as I was speaking, I said, how long do you watch that TV for? Oh, it just runs on the background all day. Do you have a remote? There's an invention called remote. Did you know that? Yeah. You can switch it off when you don't need it. You can switch it off. Same with mobiles. There's a time where you can switch the mobile off and read something. So we can never get either in Grihastha life, so-called busy, or you cannot even get in your sannyasis or brahmacharis or vanaprastha. You can never get so busy in your life or with jobs or services or social that you haven't found a little time for reading Bhagavatam. Because that chanting and reading, it's very hard initially to understand, is bestowing and endowing on your brain, on your anatomy of your brain, it's endowing a simplicity. It's endowing a kind of simplicity. It's endowing kind of subtlety, a sublime lucidness to be able to grasp these things and see yoga and Sankhya are actually going parallelly, and you weave knowledge and practice, knowledge and practice, knowledge and practice in a subtle, gentle, loving way. Then you see this together. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So Bhagavatam is very, we can never be so advanced that we don't read Bhagavatam. You can never get a so advanced devotee. I'm so advanced that I don't need to read Bhagavatam. Bad idea. Not a good move. So somehow find some time. One time I was stuck in an airport, just 5 hours delay in the next flight. And my brother said, what are we going to do now? 5.5 hours, 6 hours. For him it's a long time. I said, it'll pass like that. I said, why? Just got this book in my bag and I took my Bhagavatam. I started reading, and before we knew, the flight was there. 5 hours just passed like a blink. Boom. And one time we were in a stall. It was very quiet. And hours and hours and hours, bad weather. So there's no way we could expect anyone to come to the stall. Very bad weather, like howling winds. 32 knots, 34 knots, howling winds. There's no prospect that anybody would come. And my wife and my daughter Meera turned to me and said, what are we going to do? I said, we'll read Bhagavatam. And they were like, okay. I started reading Bhagavatam. So it could be like managerial. Sometimes we can become managers or in temples or in work or something. And we get carried away with our duties, and we think at some stage during our managerial lives, somehow the priorities will get little buggled up and Bhagavatam goes out of the door. Doesn't matter if you're in temple, doesn't matter in your house as a grihastha, doesn't matter vanaprastha in a jungle. You have to gather in the morning and read Bhagavatam. Full stop, period. You have to be present, you have to read. Then, and chanting, then you don't see the brain is automatically getting subtly sublime. You will see that. The things that used to bother you, the things that were bothering you, the senses that were troubling you, the mind that was, pulling you, all of a sudden, boom, leaves you. And it comes to journey on you. It's like mind will come and surrender and say, Sir, what can I do today for this morning for you? The mind will surrender to you and come and say, Sir, could you please order me any devotional service? Sir, what devotional service can I do this evening? The mind will come and surrender to you. You don't surrender to mind anymore. Can you imagine what a kind of a life that can be? Can you imagine how beautiful your life will be? You don't surrender to your mind anymore. The mind will come and ask you, Sir, I'm waiting for your order. What is my service? And you tell your mind, I want to read Bhagavatam. Yes, please, I'm here, completely present. Can you imagine that life? How sublime it can be. So please don't let any excuses come in your way. Any services or anything, any job, any managerial, any, I don't know what duties there are in, ashrams and temples, I don't know, but Bhagavatam has to be done in the morning. Yeah? Okay. So, please repeat. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is reciting in everyone's heart. See, the heart in English and the hrit in Sanskrit, they are same words. Same words. Heart, hrit, same words. Just as water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. Fantastic. So that's the condition I was trying to mention. When you make this a consistent, gentle consistency for a long period, your heart just automatically it is automatically drawn towards Krishna. And the reason it's not automatically drawn towards Krishna is because somehow you've been fanatically molded into a religion. No. Krishna Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti Sadhya ko banoye. Shavanadi Siddha Chitta. Very good. So there's nothing newly needs to come. You're automatically attracted. It's like Ganga flowing to the ocean. You're just automatically, that's the nature, that's your original nature, to be automatically like this. Going towards Krishna, just automatically. That's our nature. Yeah. So this verse, I just want to go a little bit, regress back and hopefully from an helicopter view. This verse is practically talking what's called the process of dhyana. In Bhagavad Gita, if you're reading Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, Krishna says, Dhyanena atmani pashyanti kechid atmanam atmana anye sankhena yogena karma yogena yogina. Dhyanena atmani pashyanti. With dhyana, meditative life, atmani pashyanti. In your soul, you will see. Kechid atmanam atmana. In your atma is always in yoga and conjunction with your ultimate source. What else do we want? What else do we want? Why do we need drugs and sex when you have a perfect yoga with your Paramatma, with Krishna? Why do you need drugs and sex and all that things, clubs and centers and all kinds of things? When you have a perfect bliss, perfect ecstasy, this yoga with Krishna. Buddhi graham atindriya, yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata, yasmin stito na dukkhe na gurunapi vichalyate. Once you attain that, I don't want to go away from this yoga with Krishna. What about, drugs and what about sex? Forget it. It's a beautiful combination, this rasa, because Krishna has unlimited forms. So you have your own Krishna reserved eternally. You have your Krishna eternally for yourself, reserved. You have your Krishna eternally reserved. You have your Krishna eternally reserved for your relationship. That's why he's Anantarupa. Anantarupa is not just limited to him coming as Narsimha, Rama, Krishna, Kurma, Varaha. Unlimited forms, actually in its original form is you, everybody with your own rasa, with your own particular taste, have a unique Krishna made for you. When you go to the spiritual world, he'll come and hug you and he'll cry and he'll say, I missed you. Remember, that's how Brihad Bhagavatamrita ends. When Gopakumara comes, Krishna says, where have you been? I missed you. I waited for you so long. And he hugs, and the Gopakumara and Krishna are in tears. So you have your unique relationship with God. It's not like the demiurge or the intelligent designer. There's one person and that's it. Krishna, Krishna doesn't have, his wardrobe has only two things, one dhoti and one kurta. No, it doesn't work like that. He can come in various forms that will please you, your rasa, your particular nature. And that's a meditative life. You meditate on your original constitutional position as Atma, and then you're always meditating on that unique relationship, unique rasa, unique link with Krishna. Then why do you need Crown Casino? Why do you need Star Casino? Why do you need all the clubs in the world? Why do you need drugs? Why do you need sex? You understand? Silly stuff. Childish. So try for that link. So this is a meditative verse. So sometimes what happens in ISKCON or any religious institutions, to kind of maintain our philosophy, sometimes we have to kind of critically analyze other people. And what happens in this verse, sometimes Prabhupada, what he does is he critically kind of analyzes the dhyana path, and he says, there's no need for dhyana path. But I say this all the time, okay? Please listen to this and your lives will never be the same. Listen to this carefully. When you read Prabhupada's statements, you always have to read Prabhupada's statements in the light of everything else that he says. In his all purpose, everything that he has ever written. Everything else he says in his room conversation. Everything else he said in his morning walks. You have to read his statements in the light of everything else he says. I'll tell you a joke. When I joined Bhaktivedanta Institute. So Prabhupada established this before he left the planet. And Swarup Damodar, Sataputta Prabhu, Swarup Damodar Goswami, all these scholars, Prabhupada said you have to form a kind of organization. It's called the Bhaktivedanta Institute, an institute. And he said, I want you guys to dialogue with the scholarships of the world. Because not just kind of, religion and, some kind of sectarian South Pacific, South Indian, South Asian religion. I want a panel of devotees that can dialogue with the world and show this Sankhya as a scientific paradigm. So it's called Bhaktivedanta Institute. Anyway, last year, I don't know, 2 years now, or I don't know, 3 years. I don't know the dates. So that's the reason I keep repeating the date when I start Bhagavatam. So anyway, I don't remember the date, but I joined the Bhaktivedanta Institute. And I went to this, one of the meetings, initial meetings, and I was attending. And I remember one time they said, there's two dangerous words, the most two dangerous words. It was in a jokey mood, so it was kind of a humorous mood. And they said there's the most two dangerous words in the Hare Krishna movement. And I'm thinking, oh, can you tell anybody said? And I was thinking, oh my God, what is this? And said, the two most dangerous words are Prabhupada says. And I said, what do you mean two most dangerous words? That are the most two perfect words for me. And it was in a humorous mood. And he said, the reason he said, he explained to me, the person he's my mentor. And he's a very interesting Brahmatirtha Prabhu. Okay, he's called Bob Cohen, and you can read him in the Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers books. And he explained to me, Um, what it is people use that Prabhupada says and little purports, the little words that he says in this purport or words that he says in his purpose, and they use it for their own, support it for their own nature. Not as a grand scheme, they don't see Prabhupada's purpose as a grand scheme of everything that he said, but it's been used and they use that little out of context from this little purport, and they say, okay, Prabhupada said, yogis are all rascals. And that's it. That's an absolute statement. No. Read everything what Prabhupada says. Prabhupada says yogis are rascals when they have deviated from the original Patanjali yoga. And they're only doing it for the sake of gymnastics, for the sake of show put-ups. That's when Prabhupada says yogis are rascals. But otherwise, if you're following Patanjali correctly, no problem. I can, if hopefully we'll get some time, but I can do the whole Patanjali Yoga Sutra. I can do the whole Patanjali Yoga Sutra, step by step, every sutra, and I will show you every single sutra is Bhakti Yoga. I promise and guarantee. For example, here we have Mat Guna Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhashaya, right? Manogati Ravichena Yata Gangam Sumudo. Do you want me to tell you exactly parallel words in Yoga Sutra? You want me to tell you? Exactly parallel words? Yeah? Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana Kriya Yoga. Sutra 2.1. Yoga Sutra from Patanjali, original. Not all the 10, 12 Patanjalis that came afterwards. Not that. But the Patanjali, the original Patanjali Yoga Sutra, verse number 2.1, it says, Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanatvat Kriya Yoga. Tapasvadhyaya Shruti Matgata Shruti Matrena. Tapasvadhyaya. Adhyaya means you pursue the scriptures diligently. And you listen to the scriptures diligently. Tapasvadhyaya Madgata Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhashaya Ishvara Pranidhanatvat. How do you tapasya and adhyaya? By Ishvara Pranidhana, by complete surrender devotion to Ishvara. That is called Kriya Yoga, that is called Dhyana. Bhakti Yoga. So we don't call all the yogis rascals, we call yogis rascals who don't follow Patanjali correctly. Madgata Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Guhashaya Manogati Ravichena Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Sutra in Yoga, Yoga Sutra, one of the Yoga Sutras, the third one, second one, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. 2.23 Ishvara Pranidhana, complete devotion to the God, Ishvara Pranidhana. Shruti Manogati Ravichina, Yata Gangambaso Buddho, Samadhi Siddhi Ishvara Pranidhana, Sarupa Avastitha. All Yoga Sutras. Sarupa Avastitha. You situate yourself in your constitutional Atma position and you connect to Ishvara Pranidhana, ultimate source of your existence, Krishna, Ishvara. We just need to calm down sometimes. We just need to see things in right perspective, in right guidance. When you see that, doesn't matter what you're doing. 1.5.22 Bhagavatam, Prabhupada gives a grand scheme of what he wants is going to be. A grand scheme, 1.5.22. Please read it. He says, doesn't matter if you're a philosopher, doesn't matter if you're a scientist, doesn't matter if you're astronomical, doesn't matter if you're an engineer, doesn't matter if you're a poet, Doesn't matter if you're an Indian, doesn't matter if you're American, doesn't matter if you're Asian, doesn't matter if you're a university professor, but if you have the keen eye to connect everything, Ishvara Pranidhanat, Kriya Yoga, connect everything back to Krishna. See the thread of Vedas through everything in your life. I can show you. See the thread of Vedas in everything you do in your life. Even Shakespeare. You can even read Shakespeare and you can see Ishvara Pranidhanatvat. I'll guarantee you, 100%. You can read Shakespeare, you can read Carl Jung, you can read Sigmund Freud, you can read Thomas Jefferson, and I'll show you Bhakti Yoga. Thomas Jefferson, Preamble, Constitution of America. What does he start with? We take this truth as a self-evident that we are created equally under the eyes of the Creator with inalienable rights. Thomas Jefferson started the American Constitution with this. It's really Bhakti Yoga. We take this truth as self-evident. Swattha Pramana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Swattha Pramana, when he was talking with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked, what is your evidence of, what is your epistemology? What is your evidence that this, what you're saying is true? What does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says? Swattha Pramana, self-evident. When the sun rises, do I need to prove to you that the sun has risen? Okay, do I have to come and tell to our Chandan Charchita Prabhu, I put a candle towards the sun and say, hey Chandan Charchita Prabhu, can you see the sun there and I'm lighting a candle towards you? I'll show you the sun with a candle light. And you will go, what happened to this guy? He used to be okay. What's wrong with this guy? Do you understand? It's called self-evident truths. Swattha Pramana. That's the contribution of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you get these two, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's two philosophies, Swattha Pramana and Achitya Bheda Bheda Tattva, you got it. You got everything you need in this world. That's what Thomas Jefferson is saying is an American Constitution, a preamble. We take this as self-evident truths. Self-evident. I don't need to put a candle to prove the sun has arisen. That we are created equal under the eyes of the Creator. We are all Atmas under the eyes of the Krishna, Creator. With inalienable rights. With a rasa, with a right that can never be stolen from you. Bhakti Yoga. You can bring Shakespeare to me. You can bring Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen's novels. Anything you read. You can bring me the Holy Book Quran. You can bring me the Bible. I will show you Bhakti Yoga. Surah Al-Rahman. I was knocking doors on Friday. You're okay if I tell some stories? Monday morning, tell some stories. Huh? Why too much heavy philosophy? So Friday I was knocking doors. And my daughter was with me, school holidays, she loves to come with me. And I was knocking door. And I knocked door, someone didn't open. But when I keep rolling my books trolley. And the fully completed, full beard, pious Muslim. And he looked at me. What are you doing? He said, I use this, I have a mantra. Book distributors are here, I can give you a mantra. Yeah? The best mantra when you're knocking doors is tell them you're a mobile library. Tell them you're like a mobile library. Oh, Chandan churches, you'll be surprised. People will say, great idea, that's beautiful. Mobile library? Yeah, because you can't come to the libraries, we bring libraries to you. And what kind of books these are? And I said, these are books from monks. So we are monks. We talk on consciousness, so these are consciousness studies. That's a great idea. Can I take a look? Use this mantra. It's a beautiful mantra. Say we are a mobile library. You can do it everywhere, anywhere. Tell we are a mobile library. We carry books around. These books are from a monk's library from monks, and we talk on consciousness. Consciousness is primary, It's a big thing in science. Oh, really? Can you tell me a little bit more? What's this book about? Yeah, these books are from our teachers, and we kind of we help our teachers by spreading the word. And we are monks. Boom. Good mantra. I mean, you may have your own mantras, but I'm just saying this will also help. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about the door knocking, and then I met this fully bearded. Okay. And I said to him, we are a library, and and he came straight away. He saw my tilak and so on. Oh, so what is better wisdom? There's one God, the creator and the Allah, or having millions of gods, 330 millions of gods like you. And I said, interesting guy. So who said maybe have you ever thought this is a misunderstanding? He said, oh really? Said, there's not 300,000. They are like angels that you have. Didn't you have 1,000 angels when you attacked Makkah back, when the Prophet attacked the Makkah back with 300 men? Didn't you have thousands of angels come and help the Prophet? Oh yeah, same. All the demigods are like angels, and there's only one God. Aham sarvasya. I showed him the Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabho matta sarvam pravartate. I am the Lord of the material and spiritual worlds. From me comes everything. And reasonable and intelligent people regard me with all their heart. He looked at devout 70-year-old, all time, never missed a namaz in never missed a namaz in his life. He said, that is an absolutely fantastic verse you showed me. I said, I'll tell you another thing. One day it was a festival of Eid, the big festival of Islamic, and I knocked the door, and this Islamic priest, the priest of the mosque, he was out, and I showed to him this Gita, and he said to me, well, there must be a reason why on the day of the Eid, when I'm just about to step out of prayer, you knocked my door. There must be a reason. And he took my book, and he flipped a few pages, and he couldn't believe how monotheistic we are. There's one God. That's Krishna. That's it. End of story. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never ends. So once you come to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it never ends. It's just 24/7 Sankirtan. So, and he read the book, and he turned to me and he said, you know what? He started from that criticism, that going hard. I said, can I get this book? Yeah, of course you can get this book, but it'll help if you can chip in some donation, because we take some help to print these books. Yeah, sure. And he gave the book. And I said to him few verses from Quran. I said Surah Al-Rahman, Surah Al-Nur, Surah Al-Furqan. Shows how God is everything. And that's exactly Aham Sarvasya Prabho Matta Sarvam Pravartate, Surah Al-Rahman. And he was down on his knees. Anything, Shakespeare, Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Jane Austen, anything you can bring, if you develop an eye, a keen eye of Veda, the silver, the rose line from the Da Vinci Code, the rose line, the Vedic line through it, you can see Krishna everywhere, you can see Bhakti Yoga everywhere. And except two European languages, every European that you'll meet, won't they say they will find a Sanskrit word in every third word of their language? Don't they say that? I met Russians, I met people from Denmark, I met people from Germany, I met anybody they say they can find a fourth or third Sanskrit word in every European language. What does that mean? That means there used to be one phenomenal, one class Aryan culture in this world. Not the way we see this. We may call ourselves Bharat, Bharat, Bharat. But please understand, Bharat is not a geographical, limited to a geographical place. Bharat is a consciousness. Bharat is a consciousness. Bharat is not a geographical India. Bharat is a consciousness that you are an Atma. And when you see your sense objects, when you see something that really allures you and I want to get this today, or I want to get my hands on this today. Why? Because you're not seeing as that person as an Atma. You're seeing that person as an object of your sense gratification. So when we are continuously mixed in this cycle of not identifying ourselves with the body, and we identify others as bodies, then what happens? All your life, all you're doing as a body, you're trying to get your hands on other bodies. It could be sthavara, it could be jangama, moving or non-moving. Sthavara jangama deke, na deke tara spurti, sarvatra hoye, nija ishta deva spurti. So we have to snap out of this cycle of body, sense objects, body, sense objects, body, sense objects. You have to snap out of that cycle. Snap out. And then you see everything as Atma and you have this deep connection with Krishna. Then why do you need all this grabbing on the sense object, sense gratification? Why do you need all these flashy cars, flashy gambling centers, flashy drugs, flashy sex? Why do you need all that? When your original Adi Rasa, when your original Rasa, original Adi sex is with your Paramatma, with your soul, with your Krishna, Yasva Atmaratireva Syat, Atmatuptasya Manava, Atmaneva Santushto, Tasya Karyam na Vidyate. 3.16. Yes, Atmaratireva Syat. Rati, once is always in this conjugal, relationship with Krishna. Atmarati. Atmaneva Santushto. Completely happy. Tasya Karyam na Vidyate. For him, there's no material actions anymore. This is Dhyana Yoga. This is Bhakti Yoga. You see that silver Vedic line, you see that silver blue line, Krishna line, in everything. That's the potential of this Bhagavatam. Then you act like Atmas. Then you treat others as Atmas. Then you give others the Atma Gyan. Then you give others the Krishna consciousness. And reading Bhagavatam is never ahai. Did you see the other word that says? Ahaituki avyavahita. Ahaituki. Ahaituki means your relationship with Krishna doesn't have any cause, anything that interrupts or anything that originates it. It's always there. You are eternal either in this body or outside this body, Atma. Regardless of you are in this body, or you're out of this body as an Atma, you are eternal anyway. So which one do you want to be? Do you understand? So you can read anything. You can read, you could be in university, you could read philosophy, you could read Jane Austen, you could read Shakespeare, you could read Jane Eyre, anything, but you can find that blue Krishna line through it. When you have the eyes, the darshana, eyes anointed with love, premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena, santa sadeva hridayoshu vilakayanti, alokya chandra kalasad vanmalya vamshi, ratnangadam pranayakeli kala vilasam, shamam tribangalalitam niyata prakasham, govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Alola chandra kalasad vanmalya vamshi, ratnangadam pranayakeli kala vilasam. You're seeing this Adi Rasa everywhere with your Lord, with your Krishna, with Anantarupa. Shyamam tribangalalitam niyata prakasham, govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Attain that beautiful position, attain that beautiful rasa, that connection with Krishna. Make drug and sex look like, amateurs. Grow out of it. Take bhakti yoga. Become Atmas. And you have Alola Chandra Kalasad Vanamalya Vamshi. Then you see your Krishna. Then you meet Krishna and he looks at you and he says, Gopakumar, I missed you. Where have you been? And then that you hug, and then that's perfection. So you can do that anywhere you are. You can do that as a grihastha, you can do that as a brahmachari, you can do that anywhere. That's the beauty of this Krishna consciousness. So, quickly capturing, when you read Prabhupada's statements, you have to read Prabhupada's statements in light of everything that he says. For example, he says, women are less intelligent. Or he says, Puranjana story, he says, men are all idiots because they're always jumping around sense gratification. Or he says, Hitler was a gentleman. Or, the most difficult statements that people can't digest. Or in these words, he's saying, meditators and yogas are, idiots or rascals. You have to see Prabhupada on a larger spectrum of whatever else he says. Don't use Prabhupada says for our own little agendas, for our own little promotions. Be very careful. Read Prabhupada in that light as an Atma to connect with your Supreme Atma, with Krishna. And then continuous bhakti. 24/7. You're sleeping, you're thinking of your Gurudev. You're sleeping, you're thinking of hugging devotees. You're sleeping and you're hearing Kirtan in Vrindavan. You're awake, you're hearing Kirtan in Navadvip. You're walking and you can see Navadvip. So that is the unbreakable ahituki, avyavihata, because your interest and Krishna's interest are same, have joined now. Boom. You don't have separate, it's not like Krishna's interest and your interest are always running parallel, head to head, boom, boom, boom. No. Your interest and Krishna's interest have come together. Avyavihata. There's no separate interest anymore. Once you have that, doesn't matter where you are, who cares? If you're hell in heaven, who cares? Kaivalyam narakayate, tidashapuram akasham pushpayate, vishvam purnam sukhayate. The whole world sukhayate. Kaivalyam narakayate. Moksha is hell. Tidashapuram akasham pushpayate. When the cities on the, this heavenly cities in the sky, Aka Pushpa, like shooting stars. Vishvam Purnam Sukhayate. Even this world is completely blissful. You understand? So dhyanena atmani pashyanti kechid atmanam atmana anye sankhena yogina karma yogina yogina. What does Krishna say again? Anyetvevam ajananta shrutvanyeva upasate tepi tya tatidananteva mrutyum shruti parayana. Just by hearing. You understand? Krishna's divine simplicity. He doesn't have any cause. Did we speak about divine simplicity before? Divine simplicity means he doesn't have a cause. You know, the atheists, sometimes I listen to a lot of atheist arguments, they think they really got the theists, they really got the devotees. If God created everything, who creates God? And that's supposed to be like, oh my God, oh, you really tricked me now. Get out of here. What do you mean? If God created everybody, who created God? That's supposed to be stumping us. Man, have you heard anything about foundationalism? You can't have all conditional realities. Isne isko kiya, that created this created this. There has to be something called foundationalism. There has to be something that doesn't depend on anybody. Foundationalism. Simple stuff. You can't just keep going, regressing infinitely about conditional realities. There has to be one unconditional Anadir Govinda. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Foundationalism. Something has to be there. You can't just keep going eternally saying this depends on that depends on that depends on that. Everything, God created everything. Who created God? It's not such a tricky question. If you haven't read like foundationalism, it is a tricky question. There has to be something that is unconditional. Anadiradir Govinda Sarva. So if God created everything, who created God? One, that question philosophically is not accurate. Because you haven't read Aristotle. Foundationalism, Swata Pravana, self-evident truths. You understand? Do you get, or is it too much? Is it going well? Do you understand? So there has to be some unconditional reality, unconditional absolute truth from where. Now you may ask, okay, this is a good question. I'll finish with last point. Now you may ask, I'll finish with the last point, okay? Now you may ask, if God is absolute, He's an unconditional reality, He's unconditional absolute truth, why are there so many living entities? मैं क्यों यहाँ मर रहा हूँ? English. What am I doing in this hell? है कि नहीं? General question, if God is everything, why am I struggling here? Why should I be an individual light of God? Is that a general question? Just it should be a rational question, yeah? It should be answered. Because this absolute truth, who is unlimited, unconditional truth, it happens to be that He likes varieties. He or it or whatever, she, Radharani, Brahman or he, Krishna, you can put everything in one reality. They like variety. And what happens is, this infinite reality, when it's expressed with these finite prisms of consciousness, not prism. You know the prisms? You send a light through and it multiplies. So this absolute truth, this unconditional reality, the natural is varieties of love. That's His natural, Bhagwan, God's natural position is, He likes these varieties of love expressed. Wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want your mother to love you? Wouldn't you want your father to love you? Wouldn't you have like a dozen friends that show their separate, distinct rasas towards you? Wouldn't you like that life? Then why do you have a problem with God has millions and trillions of living entities, finite entities, expressing as a prism back a rasa, a love that both can enjoy as an adi rasa. What's your problem with that? That's why we are here. So what does Prabhupada says? There is Krishna Krishna, there is this Guru God, there is God God, there is Balaram God, and there is Guru God. And there is infinite Atma, little Atma, parts of gods. And that are expressions back. And that's the only business we have as an Atma. As a finite consciousness, we take this infinite consciousness into a prism and we become representations of this unlimited love in this world. And if you become a perfect conduit, a perfect instrument of absorbing God's light and dispersing it as a prism of God's love to everywhere you go, wherever you are. What other business do you want? Give me one good business that is better than this business. So it doesn't matter if you're a business, doesn't matter if you're a military, doesn't matter if you're brahmachari, doesn't matter if you're grihastha. Your business is to become this prism of this finite consciousness. Dhyanen atmani pashyanti kechid atmana atmana anye sankhina yogena karma yogena yogena. Doesn't make sense? I'll just quickly back up with what Prabhupada is saying here. The basic principles of unadulterated pure devotional service, Madgati, these qualities by the name of... Here, there is no need to practice meditation to attain such attraction. The pure devotee is already in the transcendental stage and affinity between him and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is already in the transcendental stage. And the affinity between him and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a natural and is compared to the Ganges water flowing towards the sea. So if someone reads, there's no need to practice meditation, they will say, okay, all yogis are rascals, there's no need for meditation. Excuse me, what about a life of meditation? What about wherever you go, you're chanting Hare Krishna. Wherever you go, you talk about Krishna. Wherever you go, you're expressing your love and decency as a gentleman. Not cocky. Not fanatically. I am a spiritual monk. I am a grihastha monk. I am on my way to the Vaikuntha planet and I've got ticket to the flight. No. What about walking, sleeping, waking, talking, whatever you're doing, studying, pursuing universities, doctor, philosophy, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.22, Prabhupada's grand scheme of ISKCON. If you're permeating this love, of God everywhere you go, who cares where you are? Who cares? Why do you care where you are? You could be in Atlantic, you could be in Arctic, and you could be radiating and permeating and mediating this God's love everywhere you go. And you become a representative of God. People see you and they see, if this is Krishna's love, I want to have Krishna. I want to have this love of Radharani and Krishna. Doesn't matter if you're a deity, priest. Doesn't matter if you're a book distributor. Doesn't matter if you're washing pots. But this is what ahaituki and avyavihata means. Avyavihata means there's no break in your devotional service and there's no break in your purpose with purpose of Krishna. With purpose of Radharani, with purpose of your Gurudev, with the purpose of Shat Goswamis. When you're in this love, who needs drugs and sex? You understand? A good kirtan, this kirtan today, Daya Kuru Nityananda, you know. Ami bada dukhi. So you have to come to this point. Somehow strive and struggle gently, consistently, be nice to people, be a gentleman, be a gentle lady, and somehow gently, yuktahara, in a balanced way, take breaks, take nice refreshments, go for a little dham yatra, go for some sightseeing, live a balanced life, and continue Bhagavat life. You become a Bhagavat, you become a sadhu. Say yes.
Yes.
And you make everybody Bhagavats and you make everybody sadhus. Say yes.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any questions? Yes.
At the level of very sadhana bhakti, the devotee may not feel the love of God, but has faith that he will. In such a service, bhakti yoga is such a service of bhakti yoga.
Of course. Of course.
Can it be called pure if there is such a belief, such a motive?
Of course. It's the problem is not that you are not it's not that you are perfect or not. The question is, do you have perfect intentions or not? See, the question in Bhakti Yoga, the question in Bhagavat, very good question. Love your question. Fantastic. The question is, in the practicing life, if you're not a completely systematic Bhakti Yoga, if you haven't completed it yet, and if your intentions and your trials, can you still be a pure devotee? Yes, you can. Why? Because it's not that if you're perfect or not. That's not the point. The point is, are your intentions perfect or not? See? Even Robin Hood says that. Robin Hood. Did you watch the movie? Even Robin Hood says that. My problem is not that you are perfect or not. My problem is, do you have perfect intentions? If you have perfect intentions, who can be perfect? Even if you go to the spiritual world, you're still learning. Trust me. You're still learning. So that's actually very good. Very good. Good question. Good attitude. Very happy. The point is not if you are perfect or not. The point is, do you have perfect intentions? Doesn't matter if you are not perfect. That's the whole point. And the second point is, if we don't have love of God, if you're not mad, if you're not mental, just, in physical world, if you're not a mental guy, you just need to associate with some mental people, you become mental. Simple. Right? If you don't have love of God, if you're not mad yet with love of God, you associate with people who are mad with love of God, you will become mad with love of God. That's the special offer from devotees to make you completely mad and mental. That's the special offer from devotees. Discount on Mondays. Yeah. So fantastic question, Prabhu. I love it. Very good. Okay, that's fantastic. So let's do this. Okay, let's do this for this world. Let's do this for the sake of Prabhupada. Let's do this for the sake of our gurus. It's not about ourselves anymore. Our lives is not our lives. It is, but our intentions and our goals, whatever our gurus are wanting, because they are sarva bhuta hite rata. Not because they are fanatics, because they are sarva bhuta hite rata. Because they are well-wishers of sarva bhuta. So if you take up their mission and you become sarva bhuta hite rata, I promise you, this association with people who are mad with Krishna consciousness will make you mad in Krishna consciousness. And there is no wealth and beauty in this world that is higher ecstasy than this. You will feel ecstasy that you won't depart from it in the greatest of difficulties and greatest of pains. But you have to just see the ray of this bliss. the ray of this love of God. Consciousness is primary. I can go on Yoga Sutras for 2 months, okay, but I'll stop now. Okay? Any other questions? All good? Please.
Something like you mentioned that everyone has their own personal Krishnaism in their
Of course.
yeah, like what seems like that later.
Do you know, have you read the Dwaraka Leela of Krishna? Okay, that's okay. No, I'm not trying to make you feel bad or anything, I'm just gauging. So, in Krishna book or 10th kind of Bhagavatam, when Krishna goes and marries 16,000 queens, every queen got their own Krishna. Did you know that? It wasn't like one Krishna. It was actually 16,000 different Krishnas. And Narada Muni goes into this and visit, and one Krishna is playing sports, I don't know, maybe test cricket. One Krishna is playing, like yielding his sword and training his children. One Krishna is sitting and doing Sandhya Bandhan. One Krishna is just romantically, lying in the garland and having a service with Rukmini Devi. 16,000 Krishnas, 16,000 different ways. Doesn't that give you an indication? That so Ananta Rupa, there's more Krishna's forms than the sand grains on the ocean, on the beach. That means, just put that all together. So what that means, when you go to Krishna, it's not like, in Vaikuntha you have one God. But if you go deeper and deeper, which is what you should do, please, Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Yeah, it takes like at least 7-6 times to read Bhagavatam, and then you can understand Brihad Bhagavatamrita nicely. So it is clearly shows that if you read it with keen eye, you can see that every soul, put all these dots together, the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the 16,000 queens, you put this all together. And even in the Kamsa arena, when Krishna went for a fight, everybody was seeing Krishna in their own way. Remember? You put this all together. Put this all together. You have your own Krishna. Remember, he has his own Paramatma in his heart. He has his own Paramatma in his heart. She has her own Paramatma in her heart. God in her heart. Right? So, you don't even have to wait until you go to Vaikuntha. Right now, here, you have your own God in your heart. So why is it so difficult to understand that when you go to material world, you have a Krishna reserved for yourself? Because right now, you have a Paramatma reserved in your heart for yourself. Your Paramatma is different to my Paramatma. Upadrishta Anumanta cha. Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. Paramatmeti chapyavyam. Dehesmin Purusha Parat. Phew. Boom. 1323. Upadrishta Anumanta. Bharta Bhoktra Maheshwara. Paramatmeti chapukto dehesmin purusha para. Even here, you have your own God. He has his Ravi Prabhu. He has his own God. You have your own God in your heart. You have your own God here. She has your own God here. Right now, in your heart. So why is it so difficult to understand that when you go to spiritual world, you will have your own God? But that God eventually is one. But He is separate. Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Oneness and difference. That's why understanding Swata Pramana and Achintya Beda Beda Tattva from Chaitanya Charitamrita and understanding the Gopakumar's travels from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, see, we have to do it in a good, nice, structural way. When you put all these dots together, you will see your own Krishna. Swarupa Avastita Ishvara Pranidhana. Yoga Sutra. At some stage, hopefully, we'll have some time and I can do Yoga Sutras. I can do Chaitanya Charitamrita. I can do Brihad Bhagavatam. Hopefully, at some stage in life. But if we put this structurally, all the dots together, you can see the blue line, the Krishna line everywhere. Yoga Sutras, Shakespeare, or anywhere. Okay. Sorry, I mean, Mondays I don't like it to be too loaded and all, but I just, when I read this, I get this Shruti Matrena, you read this way, it wakes me up. And I just get a little carried away. So hopefully I didn't bore you too much with my philosophy, dry philosophy. Hopefully you got something out of it. And I swear to God, I really respect your associations. I really do. Every single person of you, every single person here is extremely precious. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So I never want to take your association for granted. Please understand. And I promise you this. Yeah? Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, krupa sindhubhya evacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnavavrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, His Transcendental Purports ki. Let the book distribution keep going forever ki. Hare Krishna. Hare. Okay, thank you everybody online and thank you everybody on ground. Haribol.